Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl Sophia Spiritualite, and we're here for I'm gonna call this part two of the Urim and Thummim research. I posted the link to the video earlier today, and 5 months later, I want to give an update on my assessment because I think that's reflection is good, and um, I can add some more information with that with my research. I just re-listened to my video, and I also want to add some other reflections on things that are sort of going on. And I haven't done a video for a while, and I don't want to do two separate videos, so we're just going to put it all together. So let's start with the Urim and Thummim. So I think that my research um, was 50-50. I think I got a lot of it right, but I think that I personally missed the mark on other part of it because I didn't have that information yet. And so the part that I got right, that I believe that I got right is suggesting that the Urim is represented by some sort of deck of tarot cards. And I still agree with that entirely. Um, and I would like to sort of add on to that a few things. So I think in my initial research, I had said that the Urim and the Thummim was both the tarot cards on one side and the zodiac on another side. I now believe that the Urim is the combination of the tarot cards and the zodiac. And what do I mean by that? We haven't discussed this yet, but I did post a picture of this. What you see on your screen is the tarot spiral with every card placed astrologically. And you can't really see the details of this. I'm going to make maybe a digital picture so people can investigate it a little bit closer. But I believe this is the Urim and the Thummim, the Urim. I don't know why they. I mean, anyway, I think this is it. And there's a lot of reasons why I say this. And even as I look at this picture, I see more things that I can add in. But I want you to notice that, again, unlike a traditional tarot wheel, this wheel starts from that spring equinox and goes up. So it starts with Aries and then Taurus and then Gemini on the top half. And then on the bottom half are the ones that are normally on the top. We flip it the proper way because life is clockwise, not counterclockwise. So that's just another, oh, good God Almighty. Every time the Gentiles do something, man, they mess it up. And this is a reason why I think that this is it because the Gentiles don't have this. They don't do their stuff like this. This was, like I mentioned before, that weird guy's videos, Lord Asaran, who I love his videos. He is the one who put this out there. The Gentiles don't have this. That Gentile have it, but the Gentiles don't have it. They don't do it like this. They do it the traditional way. And so this would be the proper way to look at the zodiac and to assess it. And then if you're trying to do a reading, use Sister Pixie Coleman's pictures, put in the proper order. Um, Actually on the actual zodiac, then you can see how things line up and how they should line up. And I'm not going to go into everything on this, but I just want to make the clarification that I believe that this is the higher you, well, maybe not even the higher Umi, because this might be the original one. We this I'm not even gonna say it's higher. I think this probably is the original one because in the video I said that they carried around pieces of linen inside a bag, and I was like, wait, 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 wait. Listening to it again, I said, wait a second, pieces of linen? You mean like pictures, like paintings in a pouch? That's what you do with tarot cards. You carry around pictures when they're not linen anymore. They're on, paper, but you would carry them in a pouch. And so when you look at it that way, you see, okay, wait a minute, this is what they're talking about. This is it. So I'm not sure again if this is the higher one or the lower one or the lesser one or the whatever one, but this tarot deck in this particular order is highly likely to be affiliated with the Urim. And especially, I would say this is a higher one because when you're able to associate the actual angels, the names of the angels based on the decans, based on the pips, all of that directly with each one of these cards, which you can. I mean, I haven't done that yet. When I start doing readings again, I probably will go back to doing daily readings again when we do our fast. I think it's going to take me that long to get a few other things settled before I get back to doing daily readings. But I do intend to go back to daily readings. I just want to get a few other things settled, which I'll talk about at the end. Um, but yes, I strongly believe that this is it, especially when you combine it with the celestial reading. So, and I can I even found the video because somebody sent me an email asking me about a background check, and I was like, well, I don't call what I do background check, but technically it is like one. I don't specifically um communicate with your guardian angel and ask them to bring me all the information because I have enough information to do the research on my own. So I don't have to call them in. I have these books. I just refer to them and then I double check it. Now, how do I double check it? This is where I got wrong on about the Urim and the Thummim. I I did not place the Thummim as an actual object, and I believe that was a wrong assessment of mine, but I did not have all the information I have now. Now, as I mentioned previously, lots of times, I use my pendulum to communicate with every entity that I need to communicate with. The pendulum is my primary communication method, and it is the bringer of truth. And therefore, I believe the pendulum in general is the Thummim. And it's called perfection, which is kind of like pendulum. The numbers might be the same. I don't know, but I didn't do the German chair on it yet. But I believe the pendulum is the higher, is a Thummim or a higher Thummim. Now, I have been given, driven to produce my own pendulums. I started making pendulums before I used the pendulum. I made these devices. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what they were for. I didn't know why I was making them. And then I attached one to a string and I said, oh my gosh, this is a pendulum. This is super cool. I wonder if I can use this. Then I started using it. I haven't put my pendulum down since. And so, um, I don't know if this is how the original pendulums were made, but I'm going to show you some of the ones that I make. So this particular pendulum is so I have a couple different ones. I have body pendulums that I call them body pendulums because I wear them on like a waist bead or whatever, and then I have pendulums that I use to communicate with the angels directly, like let it spin and all of that. So I'm starting to think that number one, the Gentiles don't have this. If they have it, they don't have it the way that I make it. They don't have this. They don't have this. Especially ones I made some. Other ones I've made a bunch of different ones. But let me show you one that's on a string. Oh shoot, this is not on a string. This one I put on a necklace for a brother to wear, and you can, it's just that like it's really I don't want to talk about this in a way that makes it sound like I know anything because I don't know anything. But what I got while I was listening to my own video is that this is really the perfection of communication. So, um me personally, I like I said, I use my pendulum to connect with any and every entity that I want to talk to. So, I have a standing meeting with the Most High and the Holy Mother every week, and I use my pendulum to ask questions and get feedback and report things that I see and get an assessment on my activities. Kind of like I look at it like a management meeting, like a what is it called when you have a they tell you how a review, like a what are those things? I haven't had one of those in so long, but like when your manager calls you in and you discuss your work and just like one of those kind of meetings, like just to see, okay, am I on task? Am I off task? Am I missing something? Is there something else I need to do? Get verification, get clarification. That's what I use my pendulum for. And I have my meetings, like I said, every single week. I've been doing this for almost a month now. And combined with the tarot cards and seeing and using the tarot cards to pick up on the celestial organization of things based on the tarot spiral. Let me go back to that. Based on the tarot spiral, and then using the pendulum to verify, because one of the things in my video I said, it, or one of the quotes was, if if I'm right, give me Urim, and if I'm wrong, give me Thummim. Why is that? Well, if I'm right, give me the stars and let me understand the order of the stars and what is coming up next. But if I'm wrong, give me the pendulum so that I can know how to fix the problem. And another thing, my pendulums, I decided I was going to call them something else, based on Sister Mimsa's research. And the name that I came up with is the Sphere Ray Superconductors, because the pendulums that I make, what I realized that they did is they balance the spheres, aka chakras, but I'm gonna use spheres. I agree with her assessment of the term. They balance your spheres, and they can bring you. Um, I think they also help to direct that ray energy to specific locations. So, like, I wore my, like I said, my one, I would call it SRG. I wore my SRG on my belly chain, and when the brother asked for me to put the his SRG on a necklace, I was like, oh, that's a good idea too. Because if it's on a necklace, then it will clear out my heart chakra and my upper level chakra. So I had done the balancing of my sacral and my root chakra, and to the solar plexus to an extent, because those are kind of all at the bottom. But when you put it on your heart, you go heart, third eye, you get the first, second, and third, basically. You get the first, second, third, and fourth. And when you wear it on your waist, you get the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So you get kind of like an overlap. So if you have one on the top and one on the bottom, or like men, I wouldn't wear it on a belly chain, but I would wear it on a belt buckle. I am going to make SRG belt buckles. I have that's one of the things on my list. Um, but yeah, I was like, I said, well, this would help that energy as it comes in, because I, from what I understand about a superconductor, Dr. B. Sirius said this in on a show with Brother Rich. Not last night, but the night before last. He said a superconductor is something that can absorb all the energy that's around it and not lose any of its own energy, and that's what an organite does. And so my SRGs are organite, but they're compressed energy, but they're lots of different kinds of energy, because um in the ones that I made for the womb cleaning, or the lower whatever cleaning, it has well, the bigger ones, they have the xenon bulb in them, and my new ones that I made to complement this other one, they also have um, a little chip of uranium in there, because of some research that the sister brought me about uranium. And so we got a lot of energy going on in this thing, and I believe that this is if this is not, and the Gentiles don't have this, even if they did have it, it wouldn't work for them because of who I am. I'm the person who can make these things, and there are people who cannot make these things. They can't do any of this stuff. And so it's one of those things where it's like, wow, this is really amazing because I never, I wasn't trying to do this. I mean, I just kept asking, well, what is it? What is the Urim and Thummim? Like, what is it? Like, I don't like this whole everything is a secret and the Gentiles hide everything. And so, unbeknownst to me, it was given to me because I kept saying, "What is it?" and not, based on what. And so this information didn't come from somebody else. I didn't ask anybody about any of this stuff. I just kept asking the questions and looking and seeing what I had, and now I see, okay, that whole tarot spiral with the cards in the proper order. That's certainly a Urim, and my SRGs. Um, are Thumines because you can get the perfection from it. It perfects the rays as they hit your spheres. I mean, the Gentiles don't have that. They don't have this technology. And so I say all that to say I say all that to say this, or to add this on here. This is my commentary. So basically, as before I go into my commentary, that's not has nothing to do with this. Basically, as a as I understand it, my initial research was not incorrect. It was just incomplete. And the Urim and the Thummim is the tarot, the celestial um yeah, celestial appropriate um tarot cards, and the Thummim is my SRGs, my sphere ray super. Oh, I call them generators. Well, it's supposed to be a superconductor, SRS. Let's call them SRS. Sphere ray superconductors, my SRSs. And this is I don't see anybody else talking about any of it. And so putting it together would be basically once you get your reading, going through and double checking, with your starting with your or once you do your reading, because anybody can do their own reading. You don't have to come to me to get a reading. It would probably take you a lot more time, but it doesn't matter. Get your reading from somewhere as far as your celestial. So it's not just when I say celestial, you have to know where you are on the zodiac. So you have to know your house, your all that stuff, and you put it together with an understanding of the tarot and its relation to the zodiac. So you have to put them together. That would be the Urim, the actual putting together of your zodiac, your personal zodiac with your personal reading. I believe that was accurate. And then the Thummim is using a pendulum or some SRS to actually evaluate those things and to hold meetings with all of those different entities that are in your chart, in your house, in they're in you. You just have you use your pendulum or SRS to evaluate that. So that's what I now assess to be as the either the Urim and the Thummim, the original one, or the higher one. I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen. The reason why I say I don't know whether it's the original, the higher one, is because the Druids had their dragon eggs, and we don't obviously I think that those were organized because I did a video on that. I believe those were organized. I think they were compressed with something other than um what we use now, this resin and hardener, but I haven't done enough research on what would have been available at the time, or what the natural resins and stuff like that are. We know there are natural resins, and so you take one of those and they warm on a string around their neck. So that goes back to the whole red ropes thing. So I don't know if this is the original one or the higher one, but I do know that this meets the qualifications of being a Urim and a Thummim. So now that I've got that out the way, here's some reflections that I have. I realized that there are very, very few people who would willingly walk away from everything for the Most High. And I'm not saying that that's bad or good. I'm just giving everybody my assessment. The reason why I say that is you all have been, following me. Y'all see all the different things that have happened, all the crazy stuff that has happened, and even more crazy stuff that I don't even talk about because it sounds even crazier to talk about it than anything else. But basically, I really, I had to walk away from everything, my family, my friends, my car, my home, everything. I left my home, like I said, I moved to a place where I had never even been before. I visited one time, and then we moved to Florida. I mean, I've been to Florida, but I've never been to Jacksonville. So I had no idea what I was getting into. So there's people who wouldn't be willing to do that. When the father told me to move, I packed myself up and I got out of Dodge. And then, once I got there, was some stuff I had to give up. I gave it up. It was no issue. Okay, give that up, no problem. I ain't got no worries about that. Gave it up. Even down to, okay, I'm sending my kids to school, which I never my kids never been to school. That was sort of giving up, and even in the last few months, I feel like I haven't even seen my son. We're all in the same house, but I didn't. Before I spent all day with him, all day, every day, and then like when I started working on this stuff right after, when I started working on this stuff that I've been working on, the paperwork stuff and the bill pay stuff, basically right after the Queen exited and we had our fast, I had to. I really gave my son up. I mean, my old man, I gave everybody up. I kept my head down and I kept focused on this research and making my devices and trying to do my readings and other stuff, fasting and all of that for basically the last 3 months. I mean, literally 3 full months of waking up. The Most High wakes me up, has me start working. It could be like right now it's like almost 7 o'clock, but I've been up since four something. Sometimes the Most High will have me go to sleep right after dinner, which is like 6:30, and then I wake up at 1:30, and I work all the way from 1:30 all the way until like 10 in the morning straight. Then I go, try to get a nap in, and then have to get up and go pick up the kids, and even, you know, in the last few weeks, like especially towards Thanksgiving, I didn't even leave my house. I didn't leave my house to take the kids to school. I didn't leave my house to pick the kids up. I saw my son for about 5 minutes. I just literally had my head down, focusing on this information I was trying to understand. And um, the Most High has blessed me greatly, exceedingly, as a result of that. And so I feel like I just want to I mean, he took everything. I mean, it took everything from me. I had no distractions. I swear, like I said, some days I didn't even leave the house. I kept saying, Dad, I need to leave the house to go and do this, go and do that. No, I didn't leave the house at all. Or like sometimes I would have to call my mom and say, can you sponsor dinner? Because I've been working on this paperwork all day, and I just don't have the energy to cook because I've been trying to fill these papers out, trying to do this research, trying to have an understanding of this stuff, and not for me either. I mean, obviously I'm going to, like Levi said, take care of myself first, but I wasn't doing this for me. I was doing this because I saw that there were people in the nation, myself included, that just there had to be some kind of solution. Our people were so tired. And I just when you see older people that are just tired, even like my dad, like you see people who are just tired. They work and they work and they work and they can't really get to what they're trying to get to. And the government is always, pulling their chain, and the prices is going up for everything. And, you just see your people suffering so much that you just want to do something, like something to help our people. And I intend to keep my promise on that. I intend to keep my promise on that. But I just want to say, to people that feel like they have sacrificed a lot and they haven't seen a result. I would say that 9 times out of 10, some more has to be sacrificed. And it's not gonna, you could do it the easy way or the hard way. I feel like I did it the easy way to the best of my ability because I didn't put up a resistance. When my car got snatched, I didn't spend all my time trying to figure out how to get my car back. I just said, okay, well, I can't worry about that right now. I'm working on this paperwork. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. I'm, starting a fast in the middle fast, wherever it was. I just didn't have it. I didn't have no. I didn't put up a resistance as things were being taken from me. And when problems arose, I didn't stop to try and solve the problem. I just said, you know what? When all is said and done, I'll figure out how to solve this problem. But right now, I'm in the middle of trying to figure this paperwork out, trying to do this, trying to do that, so that our people can have some rest, our people can have some peace. And so, everybody has something to contribute. That's another thing. Everybody has something to contribute. To um it's really important to try and determine what it is that you have to contribute, and then pair up with somebody who can who's got the other piece. Because another part of this thing is I didn't figure this stuff out on my own. Haven't done anything on my own. Everything is I have an idea and then I go to one of the sisters and I say, "Well, what do you think about this?" Or like when I first started like following all this stuff, I would call Miss Colette. She's the one who sent me all the videos and stuff and was like, and I would ask her questions and she would give me the best answers that she could. But she would tell me, "Look, I don't know anything. You know, uh, this is just, something." And then, with the bill pay stuff, I would ask Sister Tammy, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" And she'd say, "I know a lot, but, we'll put it to the angels and let's see what answer we can get." And so it wasn't that I sat up here and I did all this stuff by myself and all of that. I didn't do any of this stuff by myself. I couldn't have done any of this stuff without the sisters, and I'll be the first one to tell you that in person, on the phone, anywhere, I don't do anything on my own, and so we really have to work on, as individuals, finding groups to work together and get stuff done. There's lots of people always in the chats and stuff of this thing, you know. There's other kinds of meetups, share information, like connect with people because you don't know who has the other part of what you're working on. And it seems like the mother, she communicates like this in pieces because if you think about it, you know, the trees don't have all the messages, but the trees carry the messages. The wind carries the messages. The grass carries the messages, but the tree itself doesn't have the message. The grass itself doesn't have the message. And that's how we are. I carry the message that I hear to another sister, and then they carry the message to another person, and the message gets passed around like that. And so you can't do this walk by yourself. And even though we are alone in this walk, you can't really do the walk by yourself. It's really something you find like somebody and work together. And so I implore people to, find other people. If you see somebody in a chat and you can reach out to them in some kind of way and share your email, this and that. Like if you are trying to send someone your email on a chat, you have to put the at, instead of using the at symbol, type the word at in parentheses, and then the dot, don't put the dot symbol, type the word dot in parentheses. And when you somebody sends you says, hey, send me a message, this and that, screenshot it and then go back and type it in and connect with people. I mean, that's the next thing we have to, in order to elevate this thing and to move this thing along, we have to connect. It can't just be people talking to you on a screen. It has to be like sitting down, talking with people, working with people, like trying to really connect with people. And it can't just be, oh, I'm connecting with somebody because they bought something from me. I've connected with people who haven't bought stuff from me. I've connected with people who have bought stuff from me. It's not the point. It depends on the information they have. If it's something that either I can help with or is interesting to me. Like Sister Amanda, she has a lot of information on the Mars report and the calendars and all of that. And now I'm starting to understand why that's important. Especially when you're trying to figure out the calendar in relation to the zodiac spiral. If you're not on a 30-day month calendar, then the zodiac spiral doesn't make sense. And so you have to figure out how to get on that 30-day month calendar. It's a very, like, it's not complicated, but it is a little bit tedious and it's a little bit terrifying, again, because we don't understand certain things. But we know one thing: we can start our year by the solstice. And that's why I like that whole idea. um Even though I'm going back and forth with that, I mean, the equinox, it makes sense to start the year with the equinox. Now, fall equinox or spring equinox, I don't think it really matters, but you know, spring equinox makes sense, because when you start with the spring equinox, you're able to oh, my apologies. I just had to stretch. When you start your year with the spring equinox, if you start your with the spring equinox like we do, then you can track your 30-day months from there, and it doesn't really start to be a problem until, some other time. So anyway, the point of the matter is, we need to do better, especially as the sisters, even the brothers too, connecting with one another, bouncing ideas off one another, studying in small groups, different things, and not waiting for someone to give us an invitation to do so. We need to, you know, find people however you can, especially new people, the people who have been in the walk for a little while. When you see there's new people, please reach out to them. As a new person, if I hadn't had Sister Colette to call and ask all kinds of, I would have never made it this far, because it's so much new information. It's a complete unlearning. And the people you see on the thing, we can't always do it. Me, I can't get back. I try to get back to everybody I can, but I have, especially when I'm on an assignment like I have been for the last 3 months, I can't get back to people the way that I want to. I didn't know I was going on this assignment. I had no idea. It's just kind of like, as soon as that old lady was gone, the next thing I knew, I was like, okay, well, you have to do this. You need to do another fast. Figure out the day. I'm going to give you this and this and this. Y'all going to take the kingdom back. Here's how you're going to do it. You got to do the work, though. You got to do the leg work. And then you got to pair up with these other people you didn't know, who know anything about any of this stuff. And then you got to work with them. And then this and that. I had no idea any of this stuff was going to happen. I had no idea any of this stuff was going to happen. But when the Most High told me to get to work, I dropped everything and follow him. And it's just like the disciples. We have to look very closely at that. When Jesus said, I'll make you fishers of men, I mean, and they just dropped their stuff and left. Everybody did. Luke was a doctor. He dropped his stuff and left. I don't know what Mark did, but he was a fat boy. He liked the party because he recorded every feast that they went to. So, that's what his thing was. Everybody brought their unique view of what happened, what was going on when Jesus and them was running around. And you know, we that's how we are. We don't know exactly what our point of view is and why it's important. For example, I would have never come to the conclusion. It would have been much more difficult to come to the conclusion that the Levitical feasts were barbecues if not for the fact that Mark documented each one. And then I realized he had to be the one who was into parties, because he remembered all the parties. He practically told you where everybody was sitting at the table, man. Mark's accounts of the events are like off this, and why would you, who does that? Well, black folks do that when, oh, I went to this barbecue, I went to this party and such was sitting here and this is what they said and this person walked up and that's what we do that. So that's a reflection of how our people have always been. But you could not get to that point if you didn't understand that, you know, the sacrifices, the burnt offerings were barbecues, and you just couldn't get to, you wouldn't be able to get to that assessment. And so that's why I implore our people, to relate the stories in the Bible to you, and how the best way that you can to what you know about our people, and to have conversations and reach out to others so that you guys can find the person who has the missing piece to your life. It's to what it is that you're passionate about. Like this whole thing with the SRSs. If Mensa hadn't started talking about the rays, I would never have been able to come to conclusion that that's what these things were. I didn't know what these things were when I was making them. I knew that I used them as a pendulum, but I knew they weren't pendulums. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what they were, and I still don't see anybody else making what I make. People make organized all the time, but they don't make technology devices. Solar, sphere, ray, superconductors. They don't make that. They make orgonite pendulums. I make sphere ray superconductors. They're not the same. And so when you understand that, I wouldn't have got that information if not for her making the videos. I would have still been like, I don't know what these things are. I use them. I know what it did for me. I know, my period was completely irregular, and it completely regulated my period in 3 months, without me doing anything but wearing it every day. And so now I took my one that I was wearing on my belly chain, and now I put it on my necklace. And so I have the other two, like I said, that I'm going to wear, rotate out on my belly chains or whatever. And, that's how I'm going until I figure out what those ones do. And then eventually I have one for each ray now that I know about the rays. So now I can up my technology because a sister was online sharing what she found to be interesting. And so the only way that this works is if, again, we share information, we work together, we not even work together, just share what you know. Like, just share what you know, even if you don't think you know much. One little piece that you share, would be, it could be the missing piece to what somebody's whole life work is. And they haven't been able to find it because there's so much information out here. It's very difficult to even know what you're looking for unless you hear people talk about it. And that's why we have the media network coming, because we're going to be sharing information from different people about different things so that we are able to um really get ahead of this stuff, because it's just there's so much information that we could be providing that we're not providing because we actually we actually don't know what we're doing. We're guessing more than anything else, and we have to stop. We don't have to guess about what certain things are. We don't have to guess. There's enough information out there that somebody has, that somebody is holding on to, thinking that nobody would find it interesting, and where in fact, especially in the case of Sister Mimsa, I've already heard a few people that I've talked to say, "Man, she's talking about stuff. I had this same thing. I never knew what that was. I didn't know there was this and that. I never heard of this thing." And so this is why it's important for us to get out here and do what we can and to share. And so I hope that my reflection has been a little bit useful. But as far as giving up everything, I don't think people have given up enough, and really, you know, me, I always say, look, okay, Most High, you want me to do this? You gonna have to take care of it. And I go, and when I don't see it taken care of, I go back to him. Hey, I asked you to do this. I don't see an answer, and I keep going back to him until I get, like I said with my dream. I had the dream, and I said, okay, well, I'll stop asking about this. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, I had the dream, but now I still don't have an answer. So I went back to the Most High, and then I would say like a day ago I was given the answer to what I was asking for in a dream. I mean, in a dream I was given a answer. I was shown what would happen, but now I've been given an answer to how to make happen what I was looking for. And so I'm going to press forward in that regard too. But I just want to encourage everybody um everyone to keep pressing forward, to keep, if something comes up and it looks like it's not necessarily good for you, or if anything comes up, it's better to not have a reaction and to think about it and have your reaction later. Like even this stuff with my son, I'm like, Dad, I haven't even seen him, and I would be upset about it and sad, but then I would say, well, while I have this time, let me do this work, and I didn't even know what work I was doing. I want y'all to understand, I didn't know what I was working on every day I would get up and I would work on something. I was told, this is what you need to do for X, Y, and Z, and I would work on it. But I didn't know what I was working towards. I didn't know what the end result was going to be. I still don't know what the end result is going to be totally, but I didn't know what I was even working towards. I just kept waking up and working, on a bunch of stuff. And then not only is it stuff, then you have to have paper, and then I have to buy ink and all this stuff. And the Most High just kept giving me enough to get this, get that, and not be stressed out. And so I didn't put up a resistance to all the stuff that was going on, even though I clearly could have. Instead, I just said, I'll just let the Most High do His thing, and I'll do my thing. This is what the angels are, talking to me about. You waking me up at a certain time. Let me just get to work on this list of stuff. I know I have a list of stuff to do, and so I just want to encourage people, if you don't see an end, don't worry about it, because the only people who are allowed to see the end result of their activities are Gentiles. Sons of Jacob, we don't get to see the end. Is a reason for that, because if we saw the end, we wouldn't do the work, or we might get prideful, or whatever the case may be. We wouldn't do the work, you know and also, I have to remember to pay attention to stuff that comes out of my mouth. So I had said to my mom, man, nobody would believe what I was saying until I start driving around in a Range Rover. And I never wanted a Range Rover, but I'm like, wait, that was not me who said that. That was an angel who came out my mouth and said that, because of the nature of what I was talking to my mom about. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to get a Range Rover. I never wanted no daggone Range Rover. That wasn't my I Everybody in PG County has a Range Rover. That's like super cliche, but that's what came out of my mouth. So at first I was like, "Oh, well, that was prideful." I said, "No, it wasn't prideful, because why would I be proud of a car? Like, it's just a car. I just needed to get from A to B, but it's literally what I was thinking something else, and the angel came out and said this. This is what my guardian angel wants. I mean, I don't know. This stuff ain't for me anyway. None of this stuff that I have is for me. It's for the reflection of the angels. I only say that because in one of the books on pendulums that I read, the the lady who was working with her angel, she had asked the angel like what she wanted her to eat for dinner or something like that as a thank you. And the angel wanted lobster. And she was like, lobster? Like, okay, all right, let's go ahead and get this lobster. This is what you guys want. That's fine with me. And that's what now, upon reflection, that's what it felt like. It felt like that's what the angel wants. The angel wants a Range Rover. So I guess we'll be getting a Range Rover. I don't know. This is going to, I was really going to dismiss that whole thing like, oh, that was a very prideful statement. But it wasn't a prideful statement. That's what the angel wants, either wants me to have or the angel wants to have it. If the angel wants it, the angel can have it. I just need a car to drive in. I don't care what kind of car it is. I couldn't believe that's what came out of my mouth. It was just so surprising. So you have to pay attention to what comes out of your mouth, and don't automatically assume that you have gone down the wrong path, because that's what I did. I said, "Oh, that was a lot of pride right there." But I'm like, but I didn't. How would that be prideful? I didn't ask for that. I didn't I put down the card that I want. I want something basic, like that wasn't it. But that's what the angel wants. And so I it was just such a weird thing to come out of my mouth, because I never thought about that type of stuff. I don't think like that. But I'm starting to see that's how the angel works, that's how things work. So I want for people to pay attention to what comes out of your mouth. Do your best to find somebody who's interested in the same kind of things that you're interested in, and pair up, and then bounce ideas off of them. And as you bounce ideas off of people, you'll get ideas for more research. And I love how Sister Ramona and her friend are, because Halima, because you can tell that they bounce the ideas off of each other, and that whole synergistic thing is really, really good. I have my conversations in private, and then I bring them to the public, because the people I'm dealing with, they don't really want to be like in the public like that. But I have a public persona, so it's not really an issue for me. But for other people, bounce your ideas off somebody, talk to somebody about it, and you would really find that The answers that you're looking for will come right out of somebody else's mouth. Well, in the case of the car, the answer that I was looking for came right out of my mouth, and I wasn't even expecting that. So I just, I just advise people to not to be discouraged by um, not to be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Don't be dismayed if things are taken away from you. It's because the Most High has a project that He needs you to focus on specifically that nobody else can do because you've been training for this your whole life. You just didn't know it. I know I didn't know it, but I knew what was in my heart, and what was in my heart it was to give my people some rest all the way from when I was a child. Even my grandmother, just give her some rest, man. Let her not be troubled. Let her not be worried. That's what I was trying to do. That's why I went got all these degrees because she could say, my granddaughter, she got a bunch of degrees. Now, what do those degrees mean? Nothing. But my grandmother, she couldn't finish high school, and so, I wanted to do that so that she could see, no, it's not that we're not smart. Our people are smart. It's just why waste your time on school? That's a whole nother different set of issues. Um, so. Um, I hope that this message is helpful. I hope it meets everybody um, in the right time. And I thank you all for listening to the esoteric ramblings of a crazy person. So, the spirits who are here with me, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace. And always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom.